Hi everyone and welcome for today's video. Today there is no painting, no resin, it is acrylic pouring. And believe it or not, it contains ring pours. But it's really not my fault, because I was commissioned to do so. So this video is credited to Elissa, who is one of my lovely collectors and also a Patreon. So this deserves a double thank you and an applause. So thank you, Lisa. I hope you enjoy watching how I create your canvases. As you can see, these are 4 canvases. It's all 20 by 20 centimeters and it's canvas boards, just to make it thinner to be shipped easier to the US. Because as I've just recently figured out, I can send those 20 by 20 canvases by letter, so an envelope, where I can put them in, which saves ton of shipping costs and they arrive quicker as well. But coming back to the projects here, the color palette that was requested was gold, gray and white, and I also mixed some of the blue because I knew I had mixed too much paint anyways, and I will go and make another pour on there as well. So basically 2 of these canvases were commissioned, the other 2 are being made on top of it, and I will just see how things work out. All the paints that you are seeing here, so all 4 of them, do not contain silicone at all, and they are all mixed the same way. As you have seen in dozens of my videos already, I'm using the acrylic binder from Gardi, which I get from Bösner, which is a local German art store, but it's also available throughout Europe. So I just learned recently that in Sweden and Denmark you can get these binders as well, which is great. So if we are around Europe, you're pretty good to get those. Besides the binder, it is just paint, and I use Artina, as I have told, even more. And some water to get the consistency that I like to have. I did not film the mixing here. I had a couple of requests showing the mixing process as well in coming videos, so I will do that. But this is basically the mixture that I'm using all the time. I never measure anything, it's just eyeballed, and it most of times works great for me. Kicking things off with the gold, white and gray color. It is a pretty muted color scheme, but I really liked how it turned out when I did this from leftover paints some videos back. And this also was Alyssa's favorite, so this was the color scheme to pick. And I basically just made a regular ring pour. So layered up all the paints in the cup, poured it onto the canvas and stretched it around until everything was pretty nice and sweet looking. Of course, normally I do put pinboard pins underneath of my canvases to have them elevated from the surface. This of course does not work on these canvas boards, but I still need to have them elevated, so I put them on some just flipped over cups. This is a pretty easy way, but you will have the bottom side of the canvases covered in paint for a good part of the painting itself. So when you tilt it, the paint is going to flow over the edges, and there is literally not so much that you can do to prevent it. You can of course tape the bottom side with artist tape or whatever tape you want to use, but normally you will frame them anyways and you will not see the back side of it, so I didn't really care so much, to be honest. Yeah, I confess I did not really care so much. The second one was pretty much the same process, so pouring everything into the cup, pouring it onto there and stretching it until the result was kind of nice. As usual, the white is going to look as white when it's wet, the gray is going to be a bit darker as every color is going to go darker when it's drying, and the metallic gold, which looks a bit like pastel here, is going to be crystal clear and shiny in the end, which is great for basically all the metallic colors that I have come across from all different kinds of vendors and producers. Always have in mind how your paint is going to look like when it's dry. Third canvas, same process, but I switched the gray with the blue, and you know what, this is my most favorite color palette after all. I cannot get over this blue, it's just so pretty. And even if you cannot get Artina color where you are living, look for a paint that is called Phthalo Cyanine Blue. It should be somewhat the same color. It's just the best blue that I've ever come across. By the way, I've contacted Artina again and asked if they plan, or when they plan, to bring their colors to the US. They are still planning this, so there is no timeline yet that they could tell me, but I will let you know every now and then when I get in touch with them again. So I really would love if you could get these paints as well. And finally, for canvas number 4, to make it a bit more fancy and not only ring pours here, I just made a regular dirty pour. So no flip cup this time, it is just pouring all the colors into one cup and pouring it onto the canvas. Basically the same as I would do for a ring pour, but without the ring. So just the pour, you know? You've done this a million times as well. And after the pour, I just used the torch and torched it, just to pop the air bubbles, and then I realized, dude, you forgot to mix the silicone in, which I wanted to have for this pour, because otherwise it will look like a marble effect, which can be nice, but on these smaller ones, I don't know. But in case this happened to you as well, or in case it will happen to you in the future, there is a way out. Even if you forgot to mix silicone in there, there is a fix. A pretty easy fix, I would say. And for those of you who really struggle in getting cells, this is probably the most easy fix that you can do. Basically, you just make the design that you think will look nice. And normally there is the point that you want to torch everything, to bring up the silicone and to pop the cells and, you know, all the pretty magic that is happening at this point. But of course, when you have no silicone mixed in your paints and you torch, nothing really will happen. You will get perhaps some tiny cells where the air bubbles pop and some other colors come through. When there is nothing happening, stop torching, because otherwise you're going to burn your paints, and this is nothing that you will want to have look-wise and in general, I guess. But you can just use your silicone anyways. And this is pretty simple. You just have to put some drops of silicone to your fingers and sprinkle it on there with a bit of force. So don't make it too gentle that the silicone more or less drops from your fingers. This will give you large, gigantic, not sweet cells. More or less just use some force, spray it over the painting and use more silicone if you need so. You will get smaller cells though, but you will get cells in the end. You cannot really control that much. If you want to prevent some areas to be celled up, just put something over it, so like holding a sheet of paper over the artwork, and this will protect it, but don't put it on there of course, because otherwise it will be ruined. So just hold a bit of distance there and then sprinkle the silicone over it. It will work pretty well. You might end up having these lines there, so when you have too much force and the silicone more or less makes a line on your canvas, there is nothing really to prevent this from happening except for using less force when you spray it. But this is a tricky thing on its own. Meaning it needs a bit of experimentation and practice, but this is an easy way to fix things. And you will see in the end how it looks like. I really like how it turned out. The metallic gold really looks gorgeous and gives you this 3D metallic look, even although it's a very thin layer, so it's really cool to look at. And in the end I just put some varnish over it and it was ready to be shipped to Alyssa. Of course I added some goodies. And this is everything that I wanted to show you and tell you for this video. And yeah, if you like this video, please make sure to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new and have not done so far. I will upload new videos every week, about 1 or 2 times a week, sometimes even 3, depends on the time that I have. And if you want to get in touch with me, all the social media links as well as the materials that I've used are linked below in the video description. There is also my Etsy shop if you want to go shopping. And besides all of that, I really thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and other than that, I hope to see you in my next videos. Have a great time. Bye bye.